Hey, friends, family, and folks. If you can't really see my elbows, but the whole thing is well, Canada here, by the way, and Canada is a little pissed off, and people say, well, why are they? I had a conversation with an American on the weekend who said, why wouldn't you want to become American? Why wouldn't you want to be the 51st state? And, I likened it to this. I didn't grow up with a lot of material goods. I grew up in a home that taught really good, wonderful, beautiful values. And the best gift of all was we were taught to love each other. It didn't matter, you know, we had interracial marriages in our family. There wasn't a blink of the eye of the fact that that person had a different color skin. You know, but what I want to say about this elbows up, my mom called it get your elbows on the table. And what she meant by that was get a cup of tea and sit right down and have a real good visit. Not a rushed one, not a one where you got to get somewhere else, but put your elbows right down on the table and have a good lean in visit, And, but Canada does have its elbows up. And I said to this fellow, it's kind of like you saying to me, but my family has more money. Why don't you just come be with our family and leave yours? We have a bigger car, we have a bigger house, we have more money, we have whatever. Because that's what the person was saying, was arguing that their country was a great country and we should want to be part of it. Well, America has been a great country. It's similar to Canada. It's very, very different. And regardless of whether it's better or worse is not the point. The point is it's not my home and it's not my family. Canada is our home and we are a family. And we're not just becoming someone else's family. I could point out the arrogance in that conversation, but what's the point? If a person doesn't know how arrogant they're being when they're just saying to you, well, why don't you just come be part of our family? Like we don't belong to a family, like our family doesn't exist, that we don't exist as a country is just absurd, isn't it? Anyway, I also heard a good friend of mine this weekend. No one talks about this because we're all looking for an escape, not to wallow in this sad tear down of democracy that we see happening in the world. But particularly the threat on Canada, right? We are the Germany of the 1930s, and we can only hope that the whole world stands up and says, we're next, so we best be protecting Ukraine and Canada, because we are the canaries in the cage, right? Trump wants us. He wants a clear passage to the Arctic and all the beautiful minerals up there and all of our fresh water and all of our minerals. He doesn't want to buy it anymore. He just wants to take it. So at some points, we do have to go into the corners with our elbows up, and we don't really want to, right? But we're going to have to. And we're also going to have to take time to put our elbows right on the table and visit with the people that we love. I really am getting more and more concerned with the censoring of the media and him speaking directly to the DOJ and calling out lawyers that have stood up against his illegal takedown of the government. How people like Obama and Kamala and I don't know, I could think of a million people, right? Why are they not using their platform to speak about what's happening to the world? Because what happens to the United States, I always say it sneezes, Canada gets us cold, right? And we're typically about 10 years behind them. So we have to really watch out for a government who speaks the way that Trump does. We have to really watch out for a government and a supporting of government that looks to tear down government, waste, fraud, and abuse. Those things are all good initiatives, but we know that this came from high-tech billionaires. They don't want democracy. They want countries to be ran like businesses because it serves them. Democracy serves the world and the little guy. The regular folk, the person working at the steel plant, they think that that's antiquated because they think they're above it all because they have so much money they can be. Well, I'm going to tell you, 100 million doesn't really cut it anymore. I don't know how rich you think you are, but when we start looking at no democracy and having, law firms that are afraid to even take on cases that might have a connection to Trump because he's the most powerful person in the world, and national TV stations that don't report any of the protests that are happening down there. It's becoming a police state soon, and Canada's in the crossfires. We happen to have what they want. But my good friend said, and he's a strapping big man, he said, well, we have our sense of humor. And we certainly do. And you cannot underestimate that, because that's medicine. And then he said, what the heck do they think they're doing? He said, they have no idea who they're messing with when they're going to mess with Canada. And I woke up this morning sort of smiling about that, thinking, wow, personally, that person I'm talking about, my goodness, you would want him protecting you. And we got a lot of people like that in Canada. So I hope we galvanize. I hope we become all united, because it ain't about conservative, liberal, NDP, or Green Party anymore, or independent party. It's not about that anymore, people. It's about saving our country and saving democracy, what we fought for last in World War II, and this is World War III unfolding. They're trying to cripple Canada, because once we get Canada out of the way, China, Russia, and US have a really good chance to get a whole lot of things they want to get their hands on, including the Arctic. So I'm not here to be the bearer of bad news. I'm here to say this is Canada, and we represent the world, and we are going to fight against democracy. If that man down there does not get impeached by his own people soon, and he tries to get his claws in us, it's going to be trouble. It's going to be trouble. And not for us. It's going to be trouble for everybody in the world. So we have no choice. We need to get our elbows on the table and really enjoy each other and love each other and keep our sense of humor the best we know how. And get this guy who's got greed on speed off the corner of the block, and get someone backing. So yeah, where is everybody with a platform? Like, they're afraid to speak, I guess. I'm not trying not to judge anybody, but gosh, where are the principles? People with huge platforms that could really reach a lot of people, where are they? Everybody is being silenced. That's what's happening, right? That's what's happening. We are being silenced. That's the first thing to go. So for all those Trump supporters in our country and theirs, I hope at some point you really see what's happening. It's scary. And boy, oh boy, oh boy. Yeah, elbows up and elbows on the table, folks. Thanks for listening. Another week unfolds. Amen.